Hello, and welcome to the third edition of the Quarantine Report on July 3rd, 2020. I'm Emily Nagel. The world is in an interesting and unprecedented time, and we're here to keep you informed, entertained, and connected. Let's get to it. First, with breaking news. As of Wednesday, June 24th, 3 suspects have been indicted of murder charges by a Georgia grand jury in the case of the killing of Ahmaud Arbery. 25-year-old Arbery was shot and killed when he was out on a jog, according to his family. The men suspected of shooting and killing Arbery are father-son Gregory and Travis McMichael, and their neighbor William Bryan. The McMichaels believed Arbery to be a burglary suspect, and Bryan assisted in boxing Arbery in. The 3 suspects are facing allegations of malice and felony murder. The case has been a catalyst in the Black Lives Matter movement and is inspiring the state of Georgia to pass a hate crime bill. With rises of cases of the coronavirus in many states, Disneyland has just announced a cancellation in their plans to reopen. In Anaheim, California, the theme parks are to receive amusement park guidelines around July 4th and had planned to have Disneyland reopen on July 14th. Unfortunately, Disneyland officials have not announced a new reopening date. Grocery giant Whole Foods is now under question as harmful levels of arsenic were found in the store's water bottles. Consumer Reports claims that the specific water of Starkey Spring Water had 3 times the level of arsenic in comparison to other brands. Whole Foods claims that the brand fully complies with FDA guidelines. Constant intake of arsenic levels as these can lead to cancer, cardiovascular disease, and lower IQs in children. Joe Biden will be accepting the Democratic nominee spot for the 2020 presidential candidate race. His acceptance will come at the near all-virtual Democratic convention in August, which will encourage all delegates to stay at home for the event. After consulting with public health officials about the COVID-19 pandemic, convention organizers are announcing today that they have determined state delegations should not plan to travel to Milwaukee and should plan to conduct their official convention business remotely, the Democratic National Convention released in a statement. Now, we'll head over to Joe with our Coronavirus by the Numbers update. Joe, what are the recent stats in our global pandemic?
The coronavirus pandemic still runs rampant across the world. A resurgence continues to emerge with grim milestones occurring daily. I'm Joe Moronsky, and this is Coronavirus by the Numbers. Each day, the coronavirus pandemic seems to be getting worse, with alarming numbers emerging. As of Sunday, June 28th, there are 10.1 million confirmed cases of COVID-19 worldwide and 2.59 million cases in the United States. On Friday, June 26th, Florida reported its biggest spike, seeing over 9,000 new cases. However, 3 states, New York, New Jersey, and Connecticut, are showing signs that they have controlled the virus. In New York, the rate at which people are testing positive is less than 1% in some regions, with no regions going above 3%. In an effort to protect their constituents, the governors of these 3 states have imposed travel mandates for people coming from high infection areas such as North Carolina, Georgia, and Florida. These individuals must quarantine for 14 days upon arrival. And lastly, in North Carolina, Governor Roy Cooper imposed a mandate stating that all individuals must wear a mask when in public. Governor Cooper isn't alone in this action, as many others, such as Governor Jared Polis of Colorado, are imposing similar mandates. I'm Joe Moronsky, and that's Coronavirus by the Numbers.
Thanks, Joe. Let's hope those numbers die down soon. Let's now head over to Morgan with Life in Quarantine. How are people keeping busy this week, Morgan?
Thanks, Emily. Hi, everyone. It's Morgan Kaufman, and I hope you are all staying safe and healthy. This week, I'm reporting to you about what I have been learning during quarantine. It's something on their eyes. Can you guess what it is? Oh, baking. In particular, making homemade bread. My best friend Olivia loves cooking and taught me how to make this delicious bread with her grandpa's famous recipe. Today, I am going to show you the steps on how to make homemade bread from scratch so one day you all can try it. Let's get to it. First things first, I will go over the ingredients you will need for this recipe. You need an enameled cast iron pot to do this bread recipe. You need 3 cups of bread flour, 1 1/2 cups of cold water, 1 1/2 teaspoons of salt, and 1/4 teaspoon of regular yeast. Now these are the steps on how to make the bread. You will mix the dry ingredients together thoroughly. After mixing them, you will add the water and mix together with the spoon until the ingredients are all wet. You will put it in a covered grease bowl and let it rise overnight for 12 to 18 hours. As you see in my next clip, it is the next day. You will punch down the risen dough in the bowl with a fork. After that, you will let it stand for 10 minutes. Then you will take it out of the bowl and fold the dough into a ball, depending on the shape of your cast iron pot. You can either sprinkle cornmeal on a towel, sesame seeds. I chose to do the everything bagel seasoning as it has been a very popular seasoning this summer. You will pour that seasoning over any towel and cover and let it rise for about an hour. The bottom will become the top of the bread. 1/2 hour into this rise, put the covered baking pot into the oven and turn the oven onto 450 degrees. If your 1 hour rise is up, take the pot out of the oven, put your hand under the towel and turn the dough into the pot, making sure the seeds are on top. At this point, you can pinch the top with the seeds for effect. Cover the pot and put into the oven and bake for an extra 30 minutes. After that, you are done with the recipe. I just love the smell of baking fresh bread and the taste of it when it rolls hot out of the oven. I hope you all enjoyed learning the process of making bread right in the comfort of your own home. Enjoy and bake away. Back to you, Emily.
Thanks, Morgan. It is great to see how people are making the most of this time in quarantine. Want to be featured in our Life in Quarantine segment? DM us on our Instagram account at HPU Vision. Now let's head on over to our entertainment specialist, Emmy, to find out what is hip in Hollywood.
Hip indeed. Thanks, Emily. For musical theater fans the world over, today is a much-awaited day. Hamilton, an American musical, becomes available this very day to stream on Disney+. This musical took Broadway by storm and collected Best Musical, Best Score, Best Book, Best Actor in a Musical for Leslie Odom Jr., and Best Featured Actor in a Musical for Daveed Diggs in the 2016 Tony Awards. Tickets were notoriously hard to get a hold of before the pandemic, and the release of this recording will open the groundbreaking show to reach a wider audience. Hamilton is definitely a Quarantine Report recommend. As many of you know, Pride Month has just ended. Many parades were canceled or postponed this year due to the COVID-19 pandemic. However, streaming services continue to offer a plethora of LGBTQIA+ shows and movies that continue the spirit of Pride. New episodes of the Netflix original show Queer Eye just dropped. This revitalized version of Bravo's 2003 reality show, Queer Eye for the Straight Guy, features a group of LGBTQ+ people called the Fab Five, who make over the houses, wardrobes, diets, hairstyles, and social lives of deserving heroes. If you're more of a Hulu person, you should definitely check out Love, Victor, an episodic spin-off of the movie Love, Simon. The new series centers around Victor as he navigates high school and his sexuality with the help of Simon for the original movie. Not into fiction? Not to worry. Netflix has an assortment of queer documentaries that are well worth a watch. A Secret Love features a lesbian couple who have kept their relationship secret from their families for almost 7 decades. Looking for something more modern? The documentary Disclosure, featuring Laverne Cox, highlights Hollywood's impact on public perceptions of the transgender community. We all know that the very first Pride was a riot. It was started by the subject of Netflix's new documentary, The Death and Life of Martha P. Johnson, the Black transgender mother of Pride. If you want to educate yourself further about the Black Lives Matter movement, Netflix has created a category of movies featuring the series Dear White People, which centers around college students and their interactions with race. A more facts-heavy documentary, 13th, speaks to the fact that Black people in America are disproportionately incarcerated and investigates the history behind the gap. Hulu offers a fantastic documentary from 2017, Whose Streets. The film focuses on the protests and riots in Ferguson, Missouri, and the young people who founded the movement, and the different pictures that mainstream media and social media painted. If you don't have a subscription to any streaming services, fear not. Netflix's comedy YouTube page, Netflix is a Joke, debuted a socially distanced comedy special by the acclaimed Dave Chappelle about his take on the Black Lives Matter movement. For a chance to go beyond watching and engage in discourse, you can join Citrus Stage, an HPU student-run theatrical production company, in a talkback July 28th of the Kerry Washington movie, American Son. To participate, check out Citrus Stage's Instagram at CitrusStage1S for details. The list of speakers is not going to be announced until next week, but the Quarantine Report has exclusive knowledge that the playwright and screenwriter of American Son, Christopher Demos Brown, will be in attendance. Be sure to check out the Citrus Stage Instagram for all the latest information on this free event. That's all for the world of entertainment. Back to you, Emily.
Thanks, Emmy, for sharing the latest in entertainment news to celebrate Pride and spread education of the Black Lives Matter movement. Now, who's ready for a debate? Grant and Ava, what is the hot topic of the week?
Thank you, Emily, for those great tips on how we can keep busy and sane during quarantine. Now, speaking of staying busy, I know a lot of us in quarantine have been keeping busy by eating more, which has been beneficial for some, but not so much for others. I'm Grant Hines.
And I'm Ava Sames, and I know eating more is definitely not the thing to do during this quarantine. But today, Grant and I are going to be talking about who has better food, Maryland or New Jersey?
First of all, Ava, I just want to say that right now in Maryland, it's crab season, and I don't know if you've ever been to Maryland, but it's no time to play games here. Although the coronavirus is an unfortunate thing, being quarantined during this season in Maryland means much more indulging in some hot, steamed, and seasoned crabs with Old Bay.
Of course, Old Bay. But I don't know, you've never had a New Jersey bagel, right?
No, what makes them Jersey, I guess? What makes them better than other bagels?
Well, they're obviously better than other bagels because our water is actually better. Because that's how they like.
Is better.
Yeah,
especially
the
in
water
New York
makes
City, which
bread
is your
like
neighbor.
fluffier. Well, yeah, New York, but like people kind of associate them together. Same thing with the pizza. It's all within each other.
I thought it was like the cream cheese that made it better.
No, definitely not the cream cheese.
In Maryland, like I said, it's crab season, and I don't know if you've ever been to Maryland, but you know we got the crabs, the shrimp, most importantly the crabs, scallops, other seafood.
I only ever go to like Joe's Crab Shack and get like
that doesn't count. Sorry.
Crab. No, it doesn't count.
I don't know if our viewers have ever had crabs, but basically they're blue when they come out of the bay, Chesapeake Bay. You can get them in like small, medium, large, extra small. They're red after you steam them. Oh my god, they just look so delicious with Old Bay and butter.
I know, my mouth is watering.
They're so full of nice juicy meat, stuff like that. And then we have corn to go with the crabs and fries. And on both of those, you got to put Old Bay. Old Bay is a Maryland staple. Goes on everything. Can't live in Maryland. You can't visit Maryland without eating Old Bay. And you definitely can't live in Maryland without owning a can.
Okay, well, you can't visit New Jersey without eating a pork roll, egg, and cheese on a bagel, because on an everything bagel.
So what is pork roll? Is it just like...
So pork roll is a part of the pig that's like almost completely fat, but when you cook it, I heard people try to compare it to like Spam, but it is not Spam. So don't think it's Spam because that's gross.
I hear it's
not Spam. It's more like a thick piece of like undercooked bacon.
That's
like you know how bacon gets really crispy
on the carts in New York. No.
Yeah.
That's the like the big the circular thing.
Yep.
Oh.
Yes. Yeah. So it comes in little circles, and it looks very unappetizing until you eat it, and then you just never want to stop.
I always get that. I think I get that and gyros mixed up.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Nope. Definitely not the same.
Okay. Perfect. Well, I think that's it for Maryland. Do you have any other Jersey food you want to mention?
I mean, I think we're pretty close in good food. What did you say?
Yeah. Well, I think that's all we have time for this debate. And it sounds like both states have delicious sounding cuisines, but I think the winner of this debate should be up to our viewers to decide by indulging on all of the foods we mentioned here today.
Oh, definitely. They really need to come to both and decide for themselves. So for this debate, I'm Ava Sames.
And I'm Grant Hines. Stay tuned for next week's show where we'll be debating another hot quarantine topic.
Now back to Emily.
Thanks, Grant and Ava. We will definitely keep that in mind when traveling to New Jersey and Maryland. Let's see how sports is keeping up during the pandemic. For all the latest insights, here's Wendell.
Thanks, Emily, and hello, ladies and gentlemen. My name's Wendell Eps, and I'll be giving you all this week's sports report. So we're going to start off this segment today with an absolute banger, because I've got some really, really good news for you baseball fans out there. The 2020 season is officially coming soon. Yes, the MLB recently announced plans for a 60-game regular season to begin in late July. The schedule is set to consist of mostly divisional and geographical matchups, and there will also be another version of spring training that will begin on July 1st. Certainly can't wait to see those amazing home runs back in action. In other news, it is officially showtime for the NBA, as they recently released the full schedule for all 22 teams that will be coming to Orlando, Florida for the resume 2019 to 2020 NBA season. Make sure you all mark your calendars and grab your popcorn for Thursday, July 30th, ladies and gentlemen, as that is when opening night will take place with a doubleheader on TNT, as Zion Williamson and the New Orleans Pelicans will take on Donovan Mitchell and the Utah Jazz at 6:30 Eastern Time. And followed by that, it'll be LeBron James, a.k.a. the King, facing Kawhi Leonard, Paul George, and the Clippers at 9 o'clock Eastern Time in a Battle of L.A. TNT, ESPN, ABC, and NBA TV will be televising many of the games, with the rest of them being shown on NBA League Pass. You can check out the full schedule on NBA.com to see when your favorite teams will be playing. Now, while the NBA is still set to resume in July, many players have actually decided to back out of this resume season for a number of reasons, from family issues to worries about possible injury or infection. Notable players such as Davis Bertans from the Washington Wizards, Trevor Ariza from the Portland Trail Blazers, and even Avery Bradley from the Los Angeles Lakers have decided that they will be a no-go for this upcoming resume season. Now, while it is unfortunate that these players won't be taking part in this resume season in Orlando, Florida, let's just be grateful that basketball is still coming back in the first place, because just a month ago, it didn't really seem like we were getting any basketball coming back anytime soon. Let's also hope that this bubble campus that the NBA plans on having can help limit the spread of COVID-19 within the NBA world, especially since Denver Nuggets star Nikola Jokic did test positive for the coronavirus just a couple weeks ago. The NHL is also in its latter stages of getting their season back up. Woohoo! The league has officially narrowed down to 6 cities that could host the resume season. Las Vegas, Chicago, Los Angeles, Edmonton, Toronto, and Vancouver are those 6 locations. Time will only tell how successful the comeback of the NBA, the NHL, and the MLB will fare. And believe it or not, ladies and gentlemen, we're actually getting very close to approaching the start of football season. Yes, the NFL is still set to begin in late July with training camp. At this time, it is still unknown if the upcoming NFL season will take place in a bubble location or not, so we're just going to have to wait and see what happens with that. Once again, my name is Wendell Epps, and that's all I have for this week's Sports Report. Back to you, Emily.
Thanks, Wendell, for that sports update. With all the grief and trouble in the world today, we must look towards hope and positivity. It's time to head over to Liv for this edition of Moments of Hope.
Thanks, Emily. And during these troubling times, I'd love to share with you some moments of hope. For many graduates, their senior year has been nothing but abnormal, with online ceremonies and cancellations. In Red Wing, Minnesota, Hanish Bakery and Coffee Shop saw the effect of coronavirus on their seniors and wanted to bring some joy. Hanish said over 1,100 cakes have been made and given to the graduating seniors for free from supportive family, friends, relatives, and business and complete strangers. With so many donations, Hanish has been able to help 21 full-time employees and bring the whole community together to support seniors throughout Minnesota. In a commencement recording of the national anthem, Portland State University graduate Madison Hallberg sang throughout a public city park that runs through the campus. While a crew was recording, Oregon opera singer Emmanuel Henried happened to unexpectedly walk by. He began to harmonize with Madison in creating the anthem duet that meant so much more. Madison told GNN News, "I saw it as a total blessing, and getting the chance to do that felt truly special during these times, the virus where we as musicians are often isolated. What an amazing coincidence that these lovely people are at the same place at the same time. It's nice to see some glimpses of hope around us. Thank you for joining me. I'm Liv Rugg, and back to you, Emily."
It is always fantastic to hear about the positive moments in our world. Thank you for sharing those stories with us today. Well, that is all we have for you today. Tune in next week for more breaking news and stories. Here to keep you informed, entertained, and connected, this is Emily Nagel for the Quarantine Report. Have a great week.